Admiral Lisa Kane stood in the center of the great crystal hall and felt the weight of 1,000 alien eyes upon her. The Galactic Council chamber stretched high above her head like a cathedral made of living starlight. Representatives from dozens of species sat in floating platforms that moved slowly around the central speaking area. Each platform glowed with the soft light that matched their species' home star. Lisa had been to this place many times over the past 50 years. She had watched humanity slowly earn its place among the stars. She had seen human diplomats make friends with beings that looked like walking trees and others that swam through the air like fish. She had helped negotiate trade deals that brought Earth new technologies and knowledge. Today was different. Today she could feel the anger and fear in the air like a storm about to break. Dr. Maya Brooks stood beside her at the speaker's platform. Maya was the best xenobiologist Earth had ever produced. She could speak 17 different alien languages and had personally made first contact with 9 different species. Her dark hair was pulled back in a simple style, and her brown eyes looked calm even though Lisa knew she was worried. Maya had spent her entire career building bridges between humans and aliens. Today, those bridges were about to be burned. High Arbiter. Lyrelei Moon Whisper floated down from the highest platform in the chamber. The elf woman was tall and graceful with silver hair that seemed to move like water and eyes that held the wisdom of centuries. She wore robes that changed color from blue to green to purple as she moved. Her voice carried clearly through the chamber without any need for amplification. The Galactic Council has reached its decision regarding the human species and their continued membership in this body, Lyrelei said. Her voice was formal, but Lisa caught something else in it. Regret, maybe. The charges against humanity are as follows. Rapid technological advancement beyond approved parameters. Aggressive expansion into territories not assigned by Council directive. Introduction of disruptive political concepts to primitive civilizations. Failure to respect established cultural boundaries between species. Lisa felt her hands tighten into fists, but she kept her face calm. These were the same accusations that had been thrown at humanity for decades. The Council feared change. They had built their civilization on stability and tradition. Humans changed things too fast for their comfort. The evidence is clear, continued a voice from one of the floating platforms. The speaker was a cetacean mind from Aquarius Prime. The whale-like being's thoughts came through a translation device that made its mental words audible. Humans have introduced concepts of individual freedom to the Kepler colony worlds. These primitive beings were content under our guidance. Now they question our authority. Maya stepped forward. With respect, honored counselors, we offered them a choice. We did not force them to accept our ideas. Freedom is not a disease to be contained. A harsh clicking sound came from another platform. The insectoid representative of the Hive Collective gestured with 4 arms. Choice is chaos. Order brings peace. Humans bring disorder wherever they go. Lisa watched as more accusations poured down from the floating platforms. The Andromedane Empire complained about human trade routes that bypass their controlled systems. The Crystal Matrices protested human research into quantum technologies that the Council had banned. The Silicon Communion claimed humans were teaching other species to think as individuals rather than as part of collective consciousness. Furthermore, Lyrelei continued when the other voices died down. Humanity has shown a disturbing tendency to solve conflicts through direct action rather than proper council mediation. The incident at Tau Ceti, where humans intervened in a local civil war without council approval, demonstrates their inability to respect established protocols, Maya spoke. Again, that civil war involved the systematic execution of children. We could not stand by and watch genocide while waiting for council committees to debate proper response. The council had assigned mediators to resolve the situation, replied an ethereal voice from one of the higher platforms. The Veiltar representative seemed to shimmer like heat waves as she spoke. Your interference disrupted our carefully planned diplomatic solution. Your diplomatic solution would have taken 3 years, Lisa said finally. 3 years while children died every day. How many lives is proper protocol worth? The chamber fell silent. Lisa knew she had crossed a line, But she did not care. She had seen the mass graves on Tau Ceti. She had watched human Marines pull surviving children from hiding places in bombed-out buildings. No amount of diplomatic nicety was worth those small faces. This attitude exemplifies the problem, Lyreley said sadly. Humanity acts on emotion rather than wisdom. You see immediate suffering and react without considering long-term consequences. Your species is young and lacks the patience necessary for true galactic citizenship. Lisa looked around the chamber at all the alien faces staring down at them. Some showed anger, others showed fear. A few showed what might have been sympathy, but not one showed the kind of urgency that humans felt when facing injustice. The decision of this council is final, Lyreley announced. Humanity is hereby expelled from galactic civilization. All human presence in council space must be withdrawn within 1 standard year. All contact between humans and council member species is prohibited. Earth will return to its original status as an isolated, primitive world. The words hit Lisa like physical blows. 50 years of careful diplomacy destroyed in a single moment. 50 years of building relationships and earning. Trust wiped away because humanity cared too much about right and wrong. Maya stepped closer to Lisa. "We understand the council's decision," she said in a steady voice. Humanity will comply with the withdrawal order. As the session ended and the floating platforms began to disperse, Lisa felt a hand touch her shoulder. She turned to see Lyreley standing beside them. The elf's silver eyes held genuine sadness. "Some of us remember when the galaxy was younger," Lyreley whispered quietly, "and change was not feared." She pressed something small and hard into Maya's hand. "Perhaps isolation will teach your species the patience you lack. Or perhaps it will teach the rest of us something we have forgotten." Lisa watched the elf woman float away and wondered if humanity had just lost its greatest opportunity among the stars or if they had been freed to find something better. The emergency session in the United Nations building lasted 18 hours without a break. President Helen Ross sat at the head of the long table while representatives from every nation on Earth argued about their next move. Admiral Lisa Kane had returned from the Galactic Council 3 days ago with news that changed everything. Humanity was alone among the stars again. "We should appeal the decision," said the Chinese representative. 50 years of membership cannot be thrown away. Over political differences, there is no appeal process, Lisa replied for the 10th time that day. "The Council's decision is final. We have 11 months to withdraw all human presence from their space." Dr. Maya Brooks stood near the large windows that showed the lights of New York City below. She held the small crystal device that Lyreley had given her in the council chamber. Earth's best scientists had been working around the clock to decode its contents. What they found inside changed everything they thought they knew about the galaxy. "The data crystal contains star charts," Maya said, turning back to the table. "Detailed. Maps of systems beyond council space, systems rich in rare minerals and perfect for colonization. The council has known about these regions for thousands of years, but they never bothered to explore them." "Why not?" asked the Brazilian representative. Maya smiled for the first time in days. "Because they consider them too dangerous and unprofitable. The systems are far from established trade routes. Many have asteroid fields or unstable stars. The council species prefer safe, comfortable worlds that match their home environments." Lisa leaned forward in her chair. "But humans have always thrived in dangerous places. We built cities in deserts and on frozen tundra. We learned to live underwater and in space. What the council sees as obstacles, we see as challenges." President Ross looked around the table at the faces of Earth's leaders. "Are you suggesting we abandon our attempt to rejoin galactic civilization and strike out completely on our own?" "I am suggesting we stop asking for permission to exist," Lisa said. "The Council fears us because we represent change. They want to keep the galaxy exactly as it has been for the past 10,000 years. Maybe it is time for someone to show them that change can be good." The room fell silent as everyone considered her words. The idea was enormous. Instead of retreating to Earth's solar system like a beaten dog, humanity would explode outward into unexplored space. They would build their own civilization among the stars. Captain Amy Mitchell had been quiet through most of the debate. She commanded Earth's largest colony ship and had overseen the establishment of 3 successful colonies in Council space. Now those colonies would have to be abandoned. The logistics would be incredible, she said finally. We would need hundreds of ships to move enough people and equipment. We would be starting from nothing on worlds that have never been surveyed. We have done it before, Maya pointed out. Every human colony started with nothing but determination and hard work. The difference is, this time, we will not have the Council looking over our shoulders and telling us what we can and cannot do. General Kate Harrison spoke up from her position near the wall. She was in charge of Earth's military forces and had been thinking about the strategic implications. If we are going to do this, we need to do it right. Not just a few scattered colonies, but a real expansion. A network of worlds that can support each other and defend themselves. President Ross looked at the crystal device in Maya's hands. What else is on that thing? Maya activated a holographic display that filled the air above the table. Star charts appeared showing hundreds of systems marked with different colored symbols. Lyra included detailed information about resource, distribution, potential hazards, and estimated habitability. She also included something else: communication frequencies used by species that are not part of the Council. Outcasts, Lisa realized. She is telling us where to find other species that the Council has rejected or ignored. Exactly, Maya said. We would not be alone out there. There are dozens of species that exist on the fringes of Council space. Some were expelled like we are being expelled. Others never bothered to apply for membership. Still others left voluntarily because they disagreed with Council policies. The Brazilian representative shook his head. This sounds like a recipe for chaos. Different species with different agendas all competing for the same resources. Or it sounds like an opportunity, Amy said. Humans have always been good at bringing different groups together. Look at Earth, hundreds of different cultures and nations all working toward common goals when necessary. President Ross stood up and walked to the windows. Outside, the city lights stretched to the horizon. Millions of people going about their lives unaware that their entire future was being decided in this room. If we do this, there is no going back. Once we start expanding beyond Council space, we become something new. We stop being the junior members begging for acceptance and become equals with our own territory and our own allies. Lisa felt excitement building in her chest. More than equals, we become leaders. The Council has grown, comfortable and lazy. They have not faced real challenges in centuries. They maintain order through fear and tradition. We could show the galaxy a different way. Maya activated another section of the crystal's data. Lyra included technical specifications for faster-than-light communication systems that the Council restricts to their inner circle. With this technology, we could coordinate activities across hundreds of light-years instantly. How long would it take to prepare? President Ross asked. General Harrison pulled out her tablet and began making calculations. To move 50 million people and establish viable colonies, we would need at least 2 years of preparation. But we could start with smaller expeditionary forces in 6 months. Amy nodded in agreement. My ship could carry 50,000 colonists and enough equipment to establish a basic infrastructure. If we can build manufacturing facilities on the first worlds, we could produce everything else we need locally. President Ross returned to her seat and looked around the table one more time. All in favor of Operation Horizon. Every hand in the room went up without hesitation. 6 months later, Captain Amy Mitchell stood on the bridge of the colony ship New Horizon and watched Earth shrink behind them. 50,000 volunteers had signed up for the first wave of expansion. Engineers and farmers, scientists and teachers, families with children who would grow up among alien stars. They carried with them the hopes of an entire species. Jump coordinates locked in, reported her navigation officer. Ready to depart for the Kepler system. Amy looked at the star charts displayed on her screens. Beyond lay the unknown. Worlds that had never felt human footsteps. Resources that could power a new civilization. And somewhere out there, other species who might become allies or enemies, depending on how well humanity handled first contact. Take us out, she ordered. Behind them, Earth continued its preparations. More ships were being built. More volunteers were training for colony duty. More scientists were decoding alien technologies. Humanity was leaving home to find its destiny among the stars. 3 years had passed since the New Horizon left Earth's solar system, and Dr. Maya Brooks barely recognized the woman she had been in the council chamber. She stood in the observation deck of Research Station Alpha, watching the construction of humanity's 15th colony world. What had started as desperate exodus had become something magnificent. The data crystal from Lyrali had proven more valuable than anyone imagined. Every system marked on those star charts contained exactly what the elf had promised: rich mineral deposits, habitable worlds, and most importantly, no interference from the Galactic Council. Humanity was free to build whatever kind of civilization they wanted. Maya turned as her assistant entered the observation deck. "Dr. Brooks, we are receiving an unusual transmission from the outer sensor array." "Define unusual," Maya said, following him to the communications center. "It appears to be a first context scenario. The signal is using mathematical progressions to establish basic communication protocols, but the transmission method is unlike anything in our databases." Maya felt her pulse quicken. First contact was her specialty, but all of Earth's previous encounters had been through Council intermediaries. This would be humanity's first independent contact with an alien species. "Put it on screen," she ordered. The main display showed a transmission that seemed to phase in and out of existence. The signal was there one moment and gone the next, like someone was flickering a light switch. But within the pattern, Maya could see deliberate structure, mathematical sequences that spelled out basic concepts in universal language. "They are trying to establish peaceful intentions," Maya said after studying the patterns for several minutes. "This is definitely an attempt at first contact. But I have never seen transmission technology like this." "Should we respond?" her assistant asked. Maya smiled. "Of course we should respond. Open a channel and begin with the standard mathematical greeting sequence." For the next 6 hours, Maya worked to establish communication with the mysterious aliens. Slowly, a picture emerged. The beings called themselves the Veiltar, and they existed partially outside normal space-time. They could phase between dimensions, which explained their unusual transmission method. Most importantly, they were not part of the Galactic Council. When the first Veiltar ship appeared near the research station, Maya was waiting in the docking bay. The vessel seemed to shimmer like heat waves, and its hull appeared to be made of some kind of crystalline material that bent light in impossible ways. The airlock opened and a figure stepped through that took Maya's breath away. The alien was tall and slender, with features that seemed to shift and change as Maya watched. Her skin had an opalescent quality that reflected rainbow colors, and her eyes held depths that seemed to contain entire galaxies. She moved with fluid grace that made her appear to be dancing even when simply walking. "I am Nira Starweaver," the being said in accented but clear English. "I speak for my people in this first meeting between our species." Maya stepped forward and offered the traditional diplomatic greeting. "I am Dr. Maya Brooks, representing humanity. We welcome you to our space and hope for peaceful relations between our peoples." Nira tilted her head in a gesture that seemed both alien and somehow familiar. "Your people are the ones the Council cast out. The ones who build new worlds where others fear to venture." "You know about the Council?" Maya asked. Nira's expression darkened, and her form seemed to solidify into something more human-like. "We know the Council well. They conquered our homeworld 800 years ago. They claimed we were too dangerous to exist freely. Our ability to phase between dimensions made them nervous." Maya felt anger building in her chest. "They enslaved your entire species." "Not enslaved exactly. They relocated us to a reservation world and forbid us from using our natural abilities. They said it was for the good of galactic stability. We have lived under their oversight ever since." "Why did you come here?" Maya asked. Nira smiled, and her form seemed to brighten. "Because we heard stories of a species that told the Council no, a species that chose freedom over security. We wanted to meet these brave humans for ourselves." Over the following days, Maya learned more about the Veiltar and their tragic history. They had once been explorers and scientists who used their phasing abilities to study the deep structure of reality itself. The Council had branded this research as dangerous and shut it down. Entire generations of Veiltar had grown up never knowing their own capabilities. We have technology that your people might find useful, Nira said during one of their conversations. Faster-than-light communication systems that work through dimensional phases. The Council has suppressed this technology for centuries to maintain control over information flow. Maya's eyes widened. You could help us coordinate our colonies? Across hundreds of light years, in exchange for something we have not had in 8 centuries. Freedom to explore and research without Council oversight. A chance to be what we were meant to be. The alliance between humanity and the Veiltar was formalized within a week. Nira became the first non-human citizen of what the colonists were, starting to call the Terran Federation. Her people's communication technology revolutionized colonial administration overnight. But the Veiltar were not the only species to make contact with humanity's expanding empire. Captain Amy Mitchell was supervising the construction of a mining facility on the asteroid-rich world of New Sparta when her sensors picked up an approaching warship. The vessel was massive and angular with weapon ports that could reduce a small moon to debris. Amy ordered her ships to defensive positions but did not power weapons. The standing orders from Earth were clear. Avoid conflict when possible, but never show weakness. A communication channel opened and a reptilian face appeared on the screen. The alien had scales that shifted from green to bronze in the light and eyes that blazed with fierce intelligence. Scars crossed her snout and neck, marking her as a veteran of many battles. I am Zarathek of the Vextai warrior clans, the alien announced. I come to see these humans who dare to build where others fear to tread. Amy kept her voice steady despite the intimidating appearance of the alien warship. I am Captain Amy Mitchell of the Terran Federation. You are welcome in our space if you come in peace. Zarathek showed her teeth in what might have been a smile. Your species has made quite an impression on the galaxy. The Council claims you are dangerous barbarians who threaten galactic stability. But I see worlds where different species work together as equals. I see technology advancing at speeds the Council has not achieved in millennia. The Council exaggerates our threat to maintain their control, Amy replied. We seek only to build a better life for our people and anyone who wishes to join us. My people are warriors, Zarathek said. We have served the Council as enforcers for 2,000 years. We thought honor meant following orders without question. But we have watched the Council commit atrocities in the name of stability. We have grown tired of being their attack dogs. The meeting between Amy and Zarathek lasted for hours. The Vextai warrior spoke of battles fought to suppress species that wanted only freedom. She described Council policies that kept entire civilizations trapped in primitive conditions to prevent them from becoming threats. Most disturbing were the stories of genocide committed against species that refused to submit to Council authority. Your people offer something the Council never has, Zarathek said finally. Respect for warriors as more than weapons. I have studied your military doctrine, and it values the lives of soldiers, not just their effectiveness in battle. Amy nodded. Every person who serves in our forces is a volunteer, fighting for ideals they believe in. We do not waste lives for political convenience. Zarathek's ship departed the next day, but she left behind a communication device and a promise. The Vextai clans were growing restless under Council authority. If humanity could prove they offered a better alternative, there might be warriors willing to change sides. General Kate Harrison was establishing Earth's first independent military academy on New Sparta when she received Amy's report about the Vextai contact. The implications were enormous. If warrior species like the Vextai could be convinced to join the Federation, it would change the balance of power in the galaxy. Kate looked out at the training grounds where human recruits practiced combat maneuvers, alongside Veiltar volunteers who could phase through solid objects. The combination of human tactics and alien abilities was creating something unprecedented. Soon they might have Vextai warriors teaching combat techniques that had been perfected over millennia. The Federation was becoming more than a collection of human colonies. It was becoming exactly what the Council feared most, a new way of organizing galactic civilization based on cooperation rather than control. 5 years after humanity's banishment from the Galactic Council, Admiral Lisa Kane stood on the bridge of the Federation flagship Unity and marveled at how much had changed. The ship around her was a perfect example of what cooperation between species could achieve. Human engineering combined with Veiltar dimensional technology and Vextai combat systems had created a vessel unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. "Admiral, we are receiving distress signals from the Kepler-7 colony," reported her communications officer. The young woman was human, but she wore the insignia of the Federation fleet, which now recruited from dozens of species. "They are under attack by Council enforcement vessels." Lisa felt her jaw tighten. The Council had been making increasingly aggressive moves against Federation territory for the past year. They claimed that humanity's expansion threatened galactic stability, but Lisa knew the real reason for their attacks. The Federation was succeeding beyond anyone's wildest dreams, and the Council was terrified. "How many ships?" Lisa asked. "Long. Range sensors show a full Council battle group, 12 heavy cruisers and escort vessels. They are demanding the immediate evacuation of all non-human species from the colony." Lisa looked around her bridge at the mixed crew of humans, Veiltar and Vextai, working together with perfect coordination. 3 years ago, Zarathek had arrived. At the military academy with 50 Vextai warriors who wanted to learn human combat doctrine. Now she served as Lisa's tactical advisor, and her people made up nearly a quarter of the Federation fleet. "Signal the fleet to battle stations," Lisa ordered. "All ships converge on Kepler-7 immediately." The Unity's engines came online with a deep thrumming that Lisa felt in her bones. Around her ship, dozens of other Federation vessels began moving toward the battle. Each ship was unique, designed by combining the best technologies and ideas from multiple species. The result was a fleet that could adapt to any situation. Dr. Maya Brooks contacted Lisa from her position aboard the research vessel Discovery. "Admiral, I am reading massive energy signatures from the Council ships. They are not just threatening the colony, they are preparing to destroy it completely." Lisa felt cold anger settle in her stomach. The Kepler-7 colony was home to nearly a million beings from 7 different species. It had become a model for Federation integration, where humans, Veiltar, Vextai, and refugee species from Council space lived and worked together as equals. The idea that the Council would commit genocide to make a political point was sickening, but not surprising. "All ships increase speed to maximum," Lisa commanded. "We are not going to let them murder innocent civilians to prove their point." The Federation fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Kepler system, and Lisa immediately saw the scope of the crisis. The Council battle group had positioned itself between the colony world and the main shipping lanes. Their weapons were powered and targeting systems were locked on population centers. "This is High Admiral Thevos of the Council Enforcement Fleet," came a transmission from the lead Council ship. "You are in violation of galactic law by harboring fugitive species and establishing unauthorized colonies. Surrender immediately or face the consequences." Lisa opened a channel to respond, but another voice cut across the communication frequency first. "This is High Arbiter Lirale Moonwhisper of the Council vessel Starlight. I am ordering this fleet to stand down immediately." Lisa blinked in surprise. The elf woman who had pronounced humanity's banishment 5 years ago was here commanding part of the Council force. But instead of supporting the attack, she was opposing it. "High Arbiter, you do not have authority over enforcement operations," Admiral Thevos replied angrily. "The Council has voted to eliminate this threat to galactic stability." "The Council voted to investigate Federation activities," Lirelai corrected. "Not to commit genocide against civilian populations. I will not be party to mass murder." Lisa watched in amazement as Lirelai's ship and 3 others broke formation and moved to position themselves between the remaining Council ships and the colony. The elf had chosen to defend the very humans she had banished. "High Arbiter, you are in violation of direct orders," Thevos said. "Stand aside or be treated as an enemy of the Council." "Then I suppose I'm an enemy of the Council," Lirelai replied calmly. "Admiral Kane, I am requesting permission to join the Federation fleet in defense of this colony." Lisa could hardly believe what she was hearing. "Permission granted, High Arbiter. Welcome to the Federation." The battle that followed lasted only 3 hours, but it changed the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The Federation fleet used combined tactics that the Council had never encountered. Veiltar ships would phase in and out of normal space to attack from impossible angles. Vextai gunners provided devastating, accurate fire, while human commanders, coordinated complex maneuvers that kept friendly ships from hitting each other. Most importantly, the Federation ships fought to disable rather than destroy when possible. Council crews were given chances to surrender and were treated with dignity when they did. By the end of the engagement, the Federation had captured 6 Council vessels and destroyed only 2 that refused to stand down. Admiral Thevos found himself a prisoner aboard the Unity facing the combined leadership of the Federation. Lisa sat across from him with Maya Brooks at her side and Zarathek standing behind them like a very intimidating bodyguard. "You cannot hold me," Thevos said arrogantly. "The Council will send more fleets to rescue me and destroy your illegal empire." Maya leaned forward and activated a holographic display. "Actually, Admiral, we think the Council has more pressing concerns right now." The display showed star charts with hundreds of systems marked in Federation blue. Each mark represented a world where Federation ideas of freedom and cooperation had taken root. Species that had been suppressed for centuries were declaring independence from Council rule. Entire sectors were requesting Federation protection from Council retaliation. "Your attack on Kepler-7 was broadcast across the galaxy," Lisa explained. "Every species saw Council ships preparing to murder civilians to make a political point. They also saw Federation ships risking their lives to protect those civilians." Zarathek spoke up from behind them. "My people have declared independence from Council authority. We are tired of being attack dogs for a regime that fears progress." Thevos looked stunned. "The Vextai have served the Council for 2 millennia. We served because we thought it brought honor," Zarathek replied. "Now we know honor comes from protecting the innocent, not oppressing them." Maya activated another section of the display, showing communication traffic from across the galaxy. 17 Council member species have formally requested information about joining the Federation. Another 30 have suspended cooperation with Council directives until their concerns about civilian targeting are addressed. "This is impossible," Thevos whispered. "The Council has maintained order for 10,000 years. Order built on fear and stagnation," Lisa said. "The Federation offers something better: progress through cooperation, strength through diversity, innovation through freedom." Captain Amy Mitchell contacted them from the colony's surface, where she was overseeing refugee relief operations. "Admiral, we have processed requests for asylum from over 50,000 Council citizens. They are fleeing worlds where local governments are cracking down on Federation sympathizers." Lisa looked at Thevos, who seemed to have aged decades in the past few hours. "Admiral, you are free to return to Council space with a message. The Federation does not seek war with the Council, but we will defend ourselves and anyone who asks for our protection. We offer the Council the same choice we offer everyone. Join us in building something better, or leave us alone to do it ourselves." Thevos was transferred to a small Council vessel and sent back toward the core worlds. Lisa watched his ship disappear into faster-than-light travel and wondered what he would tell his superiors. The Federation had grown beyond anything anyone imagined when they first left Earth. They were no longer refugees from galactic civilization, but the builders of a new and better one. General Kate Harrison contacted Lisa from the military academy, where she was training the first class of multi-species officers. "Admiral, the Veiltar have shared their dimensional research data with our scientists, combined with human theoretical physics. We are on the verge of breakthrough technologies that will revolutionize space travel." Maya looked up from her reports about new colony applications. "We are also making progress in biotechnology thanks to data from a species called the Zephyri. They requested Federation protection after refusing Council orders to commit genocide against a primitive mammalian species." Lisa smiled as she looked out at the stars beyond her ship. Humanity had been banished from galactic civilization for being too dangerous and too innovative. Instead of crushing their spirit, the exile had freed them to become everything the Council feared. The Federation was proof that cooperation was stronger than control and that freedom was more powerful than fear. The galaxy was changing and there was no going back. Admiral Lisa Kane walked through the corridors of the Galactic Council station and felt the weight of history on her shoulders. 8 years had passed since humanity's banishment, and now she was returning not as a supplicant, but as the leader of an empire that spanned hundreds of worlds. The Federation had grown beyond anything the Council could have imagined, and today they would face the consequences of their fear. The great crystal chamber looked exactly as it had during humanity's trial. The same floating platforms moved in, slow circles around the central speaking area. The same alien representatives sat in judgment. But everything else had changed. Half the platforms were empty as species after species had left the Council to join the Federation. Those that remained looked nervous and uncertain. Dr. Maya Brooks stood beside Lisa, but she was no longer the desperate diplomat pleading for understanding. She wore the insignia of the Federation's Secretary of Interspecies Relations and represented an alliance of over 200 different species. Behind them stood a delegation that would have been impossible 8 years ago. Lyralai Moonwhisper, in her new role as Federation Ambassador to the Council. Zarathek wearing the uniform of a Federation Admiral. Nira Starweaver phasing slightly between dimensions, as her people did when excited or nervous. The Galactic Council recognizes Admiral Lisa Kane of the Terran Federation, announced the current High Arbiter. The cetacean mind who held the position looked tired and old. Many of the species that had supported the Council for millennia were questioning everything they thought they knew about galactic civilization. Lisa stepped forward to the speaking platform and looked around at the diminished assembly. Honored. Representatives, I come before you today not to seek membership in your organization, but to offer you a choice about the future of this galaxy. A harsh clicking sound came from one of the remaining platforms. The insectoid representative of the Hive Collective gestured with 4 arms. You have violated every principle of galactic stability. Your expansion threatens the order we have maintained for 10,000 years. Maya activated a holographic display that filled the air above the central platform. Star charts appeared showing the current state of galactic civilization. Federation territory was marked in blue and covered nearly a third of known space. More importantly, it included many of the galaxy's most resource-rich and strategically important systems. The Federation has brought unprecedented prosperity to every world under our protection, Maya said. Species that stagnated under Council rule for centuries are achieving technological and cultural advances at rates never before seen. Lyralai spoke up from her position in the delegation. I have spent the past 3 years studying Federation colonies and Council worlds. The comparison is stark. Federation worlds show innovation, growth, and cooperation between species. Council worlds show stagnation, fear, and rigid separation. Between different groups, you were cast out for being dangerous, protested the Andromedan Empire representative. Your influence corrupts stable civilizations with ideas of individual freedom and rapid change. Zarathek stepped forward, and her voice carried clearly through the chamber. I have served both the Council and the Federation. The Council taught me that strength came from following orders without question. The Federation taught me that true strength comes from protecting those who cannot protect themselves. Nira phased fully into normal space, and her opalescent skin reflected the chamber's lights in brilliant patterns. My people lived under Council oversight for 800 years. We were forbidden from using our natural abilities or pursuing our scientific interests. In 3 years with the Federation, we have made more progress in dimensional physics than the Council allowed in 8 centuries. Lisa looked around the chamber at the remaining representatives. The Federation does not seek to destroy the Council or force anyone to join us. We offer a simple choice: embrace change and growth or continue with stagnation and control. The galaxy is large enough for both approaches. But is it, asked the Silicon Communion representative. Your Federation actively recruits Council member species. You undermine our authority by offering alternatives to our guidance. Maya smiled. We offer information and opportunity. Each species makes its own choice about which path to follow. The fact that so many choose the Federation over the Council should tell you something about the relative appeal of our approaches. Captain Amy Mitchell's voice came through the communication system from Federation headquarters on Unity Prime. Admiral, we are receiving formal applications for Federation membership from 15 more Council species. The Aquarian depths have declared independence and are requesting immediate protection from Council retaliation. Lisa nodded to acknowledge the message, then turned back to the Council representatives. As you can see, the choice is being made for you. Species across the galaxy are deciding that freedom and cooperation serve them better than control and separation. The cetacean mind, who served as High Arbiter, spoke with the mental voice that had condemned humanity 8 years ago. "What do you want from us, Admiral Kane?" "Nothing," Lisa replied simply. "The Federation does not need the Council's permission to exist or to grow. We are here as a courtesy to inform you of our policies." Going forward, she activated her own holographic display showing Federation military assets and territorial boundaries. The scope of human expansion was staggering even to those who had been watching it happen. The Federation will continue to accept any species that requests membership regardless of their current council status. We will defend our territory and our allies from any aggression. We will share our technologies and knowledge freely with anyone who asks. We will not, however, interfere with species that choose to remain under Council authority. General Kate Harrison contacted them from the military academy where she was conducting war games with multi-species units. "Admiral, our long-range sensors are detecting Council fleet movements toward Federation space. It appears they are massing for a major offensive." Lisa showed no surprise at the news. Federation intelligence had been tracking Council military preparations for months. General, implement Defensive Protocol 7. All Federation fleets are to assume protective positions. Around civilian targets, the announcement caused a stir among the Council representatives. Several began speaking at once in different languages, creating a chaos of voices. The Hive Collective representative clicked angrily. "You see, they prepare for war even as they speak of peace." Zarathek laughed, a sound like grinding metal that somehow conveyed amusement. "Council military doctrine has not changed in 1,000 years. Federation forces have studied your tactics and found them predictable and ineffective." Maya brought up detailed analyses of Federation military capabilities compared to Council forces. The numbers were sobering. Federation ships were faster, more maneuverable, and equipped with technologies that the Council had never seen. More importantly, Federation crews were motivated by ideals while Council forces fought because they were ordered to. "Any conflict between the Federation and the Council will end badly for the Council," Lisa said without emotion. "But there is another option. The Council can choose to coexist peacefully with the Federation. You can focus on governing the species that want your kind of stability while we focus on helping species that want our kind of freedom." Lyrelay stepped forward, and her silver eyes held the same sadness they had shown 8 years ago. "I was part of the decision to banish humanity from this chamber. I thought we were protecting galactic civilization from dangerous influences. I was wrong. Humanity and their allies have created something beautiful, and the galaxy is better for it." She looked around at her former colleagues on the Council platforms. "The choice is simple: adapt or become irrelevant. The Federation has proven that there is a better way to organize galactic civilization. Species across the galaxy are embracing that better way whether the Council approves or not." The High Arbiter was quiet for a long moment before speaking. "What guarantee do we have that the Federation will not simply absorb all of Council space given enough time?" "None," Lisa admitted. "If every species in the galaxy eventually chooses Federation membership over Council rule, then the Council will cease to exist. But that choice will be made freely by each species based on which system serves them better." Maya activated one final display showing Federation colonies where beings from hundreds of different species worked and lived together. Children played in parks where human and alien families shared the same neighborhoods. Scientists from dozens of worlds collaborated on projects that advanced knowledge for everyone. Workers from species that had been enemies for millennia labored side by side, building better futures for their children. "This is what we offer," Maya said. "Not conquest or domination, but cooperation and growth. Not the elimination of differences, but the celebration of diversity. Not the fear of change, but the embrace of possibility." Lisa looked around the chamber one last time. "The Federation will be leaving Council space within the hour. Any species that wishes to discuss membership or alliance can contact our diplomatic corps. Any species that prefers Council oversight can continue as they have for the past 10,000 years." As the Federation delegation prepared to leave, several Council representatives approached them privately. The representative from the Crystal Matrices whispered urgent questions about Federation research programs. The ethereal Commonwealth delegate asked about protections for minority species within Federation territory. Even some who had voted for humanity's banishment 8 years ago seemed curious about alternatives to Council rule. Lisa walked out of the Crystal Chamber knowing she would never return. The Council could choose to adapt, or it could choose to fade into irrelevance. Either way, the galaxy was changing and there was no stopping it. Humanity's banishment had become the catalyst for the greatest transformation in galactic history. Captain Amy Mitchell contacted them as their ship prepared to depart. Admiral Unity Prime reports that 47 Council species have submitted formal requests for Federation membership in the past hour. It seems your presentation was persuasive, Lisa smiled as she looked out at the stars beyond the Council station. Maya, what do you think our next challenge will be? Maya checked the reports flowing in from across Federation space. First contact with extragalactic civilizations. There are indications of intelligent life in the Andromeda Galaxy, and they appear to be monitoring our expansion with interest, Zarathek growled with anticipation. Good. The Federation grows stronger with each new challenge. Nira phased slightly as she considered the possibilities. New dimensions to explore, new sciences to discover, new friends to make among the stars. Lisa felt the familiar excitement. That came with facing the unknown. 8 years ago, humanity had been cast out for being too dangerous and too innovative. They had proven the Council right on both counts, and the galaxy was better for it. Whatever came next, the Federation would face it together with courage and hope and the unshakable belief that cooperation was stronger than fear.